Hello everybody, I'm Priya, daughter of Mrs. Aruna, and today I'll be talking about cancer biochemistry. So these are the learning objectives. You can go through them. The basic slide, what is cancer? Cancer is a word derived from cancrum, a Latin word which means crab. It is named so because the swollen veins or the vessels around the tumor resemble the legs of a crab. So it is named cancer. Cancer is a group of diseases characterized by uncontrolled cell division leading to the growth of abnormal tissue or tumor. So, first of all, what is cell proliferation? Cell proliferation is a normal physiological process occurring in everybody. It occurs in response to any injury or like immune response. For example, if a foreign organism enters our body, the B cells and T cells proliferate. So that is also a normal physiological process. Or to replace cells that have died, or to replace cells that have been shed as a part of their life cycle, like skin, mucous membrane of GI tract, etc. This cell proliferation is kept at a balance. Required amount of proliferation occurs, but when this proliferation gets impaired, it leads to cancer. You must be knowing this. Oncology is a branch of medicine which deals with etiology, diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of cancer. And onco is a Greek word which means tumor. Then cancer is basically classified as benign or malignant. The tumors which occur in cancer are benign or malignant. The word benign is self-explanatory, which means harmless. It doesn't spread or invade to other parts of the body. And malignant likewise can invade other organs and spread to distant locations, which is called metastasis. That is, it dislodges from its origin and moves to other parts. And these malignant tumors are life threatening. Then, coming to naming of cancer, these cancers are named based on their origin, that is, site or location. So, uh, you you just have a trick to remember this. All the cancer names which end with oma are benign, and the malignant counterparts of this benign cancers are named like carcinoma or sarcoma. For example, if you take this the last one, teratoma, which occurs in testis or ovary, that is germ cells. It is the benign part of the cancer is called teratoma, and the malignant counterpart is called teratocarcinoma. Likewise, in melanocytes, in the benign cancer is called nevus, which is nothing but the moles you have on your body. Those are the benign parts of the skin cancer, and the malignant counterpart is known as melanoma. Coming into epithelial cancers, the malignant counterparts are named as carcinoma. For example, if the cancer occurs in glands, it is known as adenoma, the benign one, and the malignant counterpart is adenocarcinoma. Likewise, connective tissue cancers are called sarcomas. For example, if the cancer occurs in bone, it is called osteoma, the benign one, and malignant counterpart is called osteosarcoma. In blood cells, you don't have benign and malignant, it's just called leukemia if it occurs in WBC. Okay, and one more thing, why this is called teratoma or teratogenous? This word teratogenous is used when when its origin occurs from more than one germ cell layer. The next is the factors causing cancer. The factors can be physical ones, chemical ones, biological ones like few viruses, environmental factors, hormonal factors, genetic causes, and mutations. Physical agents include X-rays, gamma rays, and UV rays. Then coming into chemicals, asbestos aflatoxins, which is synthesized by the fungi called Aspergillus flavus, aniline, nitroso compounds, coloring agents, benzopyrenes, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. You just can remember like this. Most of the compounds which contain the benzene ring can be carcinogenic, and most of the inorganic ones containing nitro group or nitrogen, most of them are carcinogenic. And lifestyle causes include tobacco chewing, smoking, alcohol consumption. Then carcinogenesis. This word means the progressive development of cancer. The three important steps in carcinogenesis are initiation, promotion, and proliferation. Initiation means there will be a irreversible damage in DNA. That is called initiation. Promotion is that these cells multiply and become a tumor, the mutated cells. This is called promotion. And when these cells form a tumor and get dislodged and move to other parts, it is called proliferation, which is nothing but metastasis. So there is this famous experiment, uh, like it goes like when you give benzopyrene alone to few mice, they don't develop a tumor. Likewise, when you give benzopyrene followed by croton oil, they develop tumor. And application of croton oil alone, they don't develop tumor. It is because benzopyrene here acts as an initiator, and the croton oil acts as promoter. So most of the carcinogens cause initiation and promotion. Then what is mutation? You all must be knowing this. Sudden change in the chemical structure of the DNA. Also, the aberration in chemical structure of the DNA is called mutation, and the substance which causes this change is known as a mutagen. For example, the X-rays, gamma rays, UV rays are all the mutagens. Then we've seen that viruses also cause cancer, and such viruses are called as oncogenic viruses. What they do is they inculcate their genome into the host genome, and thus the host cell will produce viral proteins instead of host proteins. Such cells are called transformed cells. This production of viral proteins leads to uncontrolled multiplication of the host cells, causing cancer. For example, the EBV Epstein-Barr virus causes Burkitt's lymphoma. The human papilloma virus causes uterine cervical cancer. The hepatitis B virus causes hepatoma, which is the cancer of liver cells. Then oncogenes. So what actually happens is we all have proto-oncogenes in our genome. These proto-oncogenes code for such proteins which keep a check on cell proliferation and regulate the cell cycle. Once these proto-oncogenes are activated to oncogenes by means of any mutagens, cancer-causing agents, these oncogenes start producing such proteins which help the cells to proliferate and thus causing cancer. So genes which cause cancer are known as oncogenes. We have more than 100 proto-oncogenes on various chromosomes, like the RAS gene and the CMYC, which is avian myelocytoma, which means it's present in birds. And the activation of proto-oncogenes to oncogenes by means of the mutagens can occur through various processes, like promoter insertion. Promoter is that part of DNA sequence where the RNA polymerase gets attached and the transcription begins. You must be knowing this. Then enhancer insertion. Enhancer is such a sequence away from the promoter which increases the transcription. And chromosomal translocations. For example, the translocation of 9 and 22nd chromosome, the reciprocal translocation, causes chronic myeloid leukemia. In this, the short arm of 9th chromosome and the short arm of 22nd chromosome get exchanged. And here the 9th chromosome is called the Philadelphia chromosome. You can be asked which chromosome is called the Philadelphia. It's the 9th one. And in Burkitt's lymphoma, it is chromosome 8 and 14. And the other processes include gene amplification and point mutation. So we also have genes called anti-oncogenes or oncosuppressor genes, which are self-explanatory. Their function is self-explanatory. They prevent cancer. I've told you this. They keep a check on cell proliferation and they regulate the cell cycle. So when these genes are deleted or mutated, then it leads to cancer. The two most important oncosuppressor genes in our body are P53 gene and the RB, which is retinoblastoma gene. This P53 gene is called the guardian angel of the genome. Such an important gene it is. And mutation of this can lead to breast cancer, colon cancer. And you also have BRCA1 and BRCA2. With mutation in this gene can lead to breast cancer. And then RB is retinoblastoma gene. It is named so because mutation in this leads to retinoblastoma in children. And WT gene, mutation in which leads to Wilms tumor. So this P53 gene is a 53 kilodalton nucleophosphoprotein. It activates the DNA repair proteins. So when do we need the DNA repair proteins? When there is a damage to DNA. And also it arrests growth of a damaged cell or a cancerous cell at G1S stage of the cell cycle. It can also initiate apoptosis, which is the programmed cell death. You must be knowing this cell cycle and the kinases involved in cell cycle. So yeah, another important concept in cancer is telomerases. So I'll first tell you in brief about this. So just remember one thing, telomerase is an enzyme just like RNA polymerase or DNA polymerase. It is a reverse transcriptase enzyme. So what happens is, suppose this is, sorry for that. This is the 5' end, this is the 3' end, 5' and 3'. Suppose this is the parent DNA from which the replication has to occur. So what happens is the replication always occurs in 5' to 3' direction. So when the new strand forms, it doesn't start with the formation of DNA. First, an RNA primer is induced here. This is a RNA primer. And then there is DNA replication. These are the Okazaki fragments. So, in order to replace this RNA with DNA, it is not possible. See, RNA primer at 5' end of newly synthesized strands cannot be replaced with DNA. So what this telomerase does is, it is a reverse transcriptase enzyme. So it itself has a RNA sequence which helps in reverse transcription of this RNA and it is converted to DNA. So this telomerase enzyme is not active in all cells. It is active in germ cells and cancerous cells. Now you will understand this. Then shortening of ends of chromosomes at each replication with loss of important genes. So as this telomerase is not present in all cells, this part of the newly formed daughter DNA strand is filled with RNA here, which means there is loss of few important genes. This is the main cause, one of the main causes for the death of a cell. Every time the cell replicates, see, if this is the first time the cell is replicating, this is the RNA. The next time the cell replicates, here will be another RNA sequence. Likewise, when this is the process or the cause because of which the cell dies. Whereas in the cancer cell, this telomerase enzyme is active. So it converts this RNA into DNA and the cell is alive. That is written in the last one. Genomic stability in germline cells is maintained by telomerase. In humans, telomeres consist of 1,000 or more arrays of TTA GGG repeats at the 3' ends. Then the characteristics of cancer cells. What characteristics do these cancer cells show? They show uncontrolled proliferation and they show abnormal nucleus. Abnormal nucleus, like the ratio of the cytoplasm is to nucleus normally is 4 is to 1. That means the cytoplasm is 4 times more than nucleus. But in a cancerous cell, it becomes 1 is to 1. And then loss of anchorage. The cells get dislodged from the basement membrane. Then disorganized multilayer, that is loss of contact inhibition. So when the cells are grouped and packed together, each cell prevents the proliferation of other cell. That is called contact inhibition. So when they are in contact, they are inhibited from proliferation. But in cancerous cells, this property is lost. So they proliferate. Then it undergoes metastasis in the malignant tumors and angiogenesis. This angiogenesis occurs in order to supply more nutrients to the newly formed cells, and the lack of differentiation into specialized cells, which is called anaplasia, and increased rate of anaerobic glycolysis in order to meet the energy demands of the new cells. The cells also lose their shape and size, which is known as pleomorphism, and they also lose their polarity. When the cells are lying on the basement membrane, they have certain polarity, so they lose that. Coming to the biochemical changes, increased synthesis of DNA and RNA, one of the reason being the telomerases, then the increased rate of aerobic and anaerobic glycolysis to meet the increased demand for energy for more cells, and the rate of anaerobic glycolysis is tremendously increased. I've told you the reason. So you can go through this differences between the normal cell and cancer cell. Then coming to the treatment, there are different routes of treatment. One is surgery, in which you remove the cancerous tissue, radiotherapy, destruction of cancer cells using radioactive rays, chemotherapy, in which you kill cancerous cells using drugs. And yeah, this is not important for you, I guess, but you can go through this. The anti-cancer drugs and their mechanism of action. Then cancer prevention is you can prevent it by uh, having more and more antioxidants, because free radicals are one of the most important causes of tumor formation. So these antioxidants prevent or scavenge free radicals. They can detoxify carcinogens, and vitamin A, E, C rich foods are also rich in antioxidants. Then coming into tumor markers. How should an ideal tumor marker be? It must be produced by tumor cells. It should not be present in normal or healthy or benign condition. It must be detectable in body fluids. It could be used for screening the presence of cancer in asymptomatic patients. It should be highly specific, highly sensitive, able to differentiate between neoplastic and non-neoplastic diseases, and increase in level should precede neoplastic process. So what are the uses of tumor markers? They help in diagnosis, prognosis, which is nothing but the monitoring of your treatment, and localization of the tumor. The different tumor markers are enzymes, hormones, proteins, oncofetal antigens, genes, carbohydrate antigens, blood group antigens, receptors. Oncofetal antigens, these antigens are present in fetal stage, but gradually they decrease in their concentration and they disappear after birth. But in cancerous tissue, this protein will reappear. They are alpha-fetoprotein and carcinoembryogenic antigen. AFP is nothing but fetal albumin, which resembles the adult albumin. Its molecular weight is 70,000. Sorry, there's no unit here. And its normal level is less than 10 micrograms per liter. And as we all know, albumin is synthesized by the liver. So increase in its concentration should obviously relate to the hepatocellular carcinoma. Then pregnancy with fetal abnormality, germ cell tumor. Elevated level is also seen in hepatitis, cirrhosis, which both are liver conditions, and pregnancy. Pregnancy, it is obvious why it is high. It is high in pregnancy. Then carcinoembryogenic antigen, it's elevated in colorectal cancer, GI cancer, pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer. Then coming into enzymes, ALP, which is called alkaline phosphatase, it is involved in the liver cancer. High level of ALP is seen in secondary involvement of bone cancer. So this ALP is not specific for liver. So there is one enzyme you can rely on which is specific for liver cancer, which is ALT, alanine transferase. So you'll be learning all this in liver function test. Then there is gamma glutamyl transferase, GGT, 5' nucleotidase, NT, are also used to diagnose liver cancer. So this GGT increases. This GGT is specific for alcoholism. मतलब it increases more in an alcoholic person. Then prostatic acid phosphatase, it is elevated in prostatic cancer, and prostate specific antigen, it also increases in prostate cancer. Then coming into hormones, high level of hormone is secreted by endocrine tissues where it is normally secreted. This can happen, or a hormone can be secreted by non-endocrine tissues where it is normally not secreted. So the most important hormone or the cancer is pheochromocytoma, in which there is increased secretion of noradrenaline. It is an adrenal medullary tumor, and there are also other hormones. You can go through the list. Then there is beta HCG, which is beta human chorionic gonadotropin. It is synthesized by trophoblast. So the HCG has two components, alpha component and beta component. Alpha is similar to FSH, LH and TH, whereas the beta component is specific to HCG. Normal values is less than 20 international units per liter. Its level is elevated in trophoblastic tumor, choriocarcinoma and germ cell tumor. Then coming into proteins, you have prostate specific antigen and Bence-Jones proteins. Again, one of the important concepts is Bence-Jones proteins. So plasma cell from B lymphocyte proliferates and produces light chain immunoglobulins known as M protein. In this, the Bence-Jones proteins are the light chains of immunoglobulins, like the lambda and kappa chains. So, when these increase because of their small size, they get filtered and they appear in the urine, the Bence-Jones proteins. So, this is used for diagnosis of multiple myeloma, and it has a characteristic property towards heat treatment. So when you heat it up to 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, it gets precipitated, these proteins. And when you heat it up to 90 degrees, it gets dissolved. It gets dissolved. And on cooling, it again precipitates. Then you have carbohydrate antigen CA125. It is a glycoprotein. Normal value is less than 35 international units per ml. And it is elevated in ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, and GI tract cancer. So that is all about uh, the cancer biochemistry and a part of cancer pathology. So if you have any doubts, you can post it in the comments and I'll be available. Thank you.